Everyone. So in this lecture we are going to see the third chapter of module 1, that is conceptual data modeling using entities and relationships. Outlines are design phases, the entity relationship model, structural constraints on relationship, then weak entity types, an example of database application, specialization and generalization. The overview of database design process. So first we'll see when you are going to design any application, what are the main activities. So there are two main activities, database design and applications design. So this is with respect to any database application. Okay, so when we say database design, in this the main concept used is conceptual database design. That is how the entire application is visualized or perceived by the end user, that will be shown in the conceptual database design. Okay, like how you are going to design the conceptual schema for the entire database application, that will be decided in the database design phase. Now the application design phase or the application design activity, it will focus on the programs and interfaces that access the database. Okay, applications design focuses on the programs and interfaces that access the database. Like what actually you're going to implement, how it will access the database. So that will be shown or that will be defined in the application design phase. Next is conceptual modeling. Conceptual modeling is a very important phase in the designing a successful database application. Okay, so when you're going for any database application, the main thing or the most important thing you have to do is conceptual modeling. So the term database application, as I said, it refers to a particular database and the associated programs which implement the database queries and the updates. Okay, so whenever you implement any database application, mainly it involves the database and the different queries or updates you are performing on those database. Major part of database application will require the design, implementation and testing of these application programs. Okay, so major part of database application will require the design, implementation and testing of these application programs. When we say design, implementation, testing, all these terms, right? So these are mainly the part of software engineering. Okay, it will be considered as a part of software engineering. So design, application program design or the like implementation, testing, these things comes under software engineering. Okay, it is not related to your database design. So in database design, mainly you say like what all the different information you want to store in the database and how it can be accessed and how you will visualize the entire thing. So that comes under database design. Now we'll see the phases of database design. There are mainly there are four phases, like requirement collection and analysis, then conceptual design, logical design and physical design. First thing what you will do in any application development, you have studied in software engineering, right? When you are developing any project, you have to follow the SDLC, software development life cycle. So in the SDLC, the first step is requirement analysis, correct? You have to gather the information or you have to collect the information and you have to see like how you are going to whether it is feasible or not, all those things you have to identify. The first phase in any software development is requirement collection. So here also you need to collect the requirement and analyze those requirements. So from where you are collecting these requirements? From the mini world. That means from the existing world or the real world, you will gather the information and then you have to see that what are the data requirements and what are the functional requirements. Now functional requirements means these are used to implement the actual programs or the functionalities, And data requirements, it is specific to the data which you are going to store in the database. Okay, like what all the information you want to store and how you want, like related to which object you are going to store. So that information will be called as data requirement. Okay, so now data requirement, once you have collected the data requirement, now you have to go for conceptual design. Like you have to tell, or you have to convince the non-technical person also, like how the entire application will look like what all the different objects or the entities are there, and how they are related to each other. So all those things you have to show, right? So that will be done using conceptual design. So that's why it is called as a high level data modeling. Okay, so here the require till creating the high level data model, it is DBMS independent activity. That means it is not related to a specific database concept. Simply you are collecting the information, and then you are describing those collected information in the high level data model, so anyone can understand easily. Then comes logical design. So in the logical design, whatever you have collected during the second phase, that is conceptual design, so that will be converted to the implementation data model. So like how you are going to represent the data in the system, so that should be described in the logical design phase. Okay, so you will get the logical schema. Logical schema means it will be represented using either implementation model or the representation data model. So once your implementation schema is ready, or the logical schema is ready, then you will go for designing the physical structure. Okay, so like physical storage structure must be designed, so that can be done using the next level, like physical design phase. So here you will say, okay, where you want to store, or how you want to store, like how much space it will occupy, what are the data types you want to define, then what are the access methods you are going to use. So all these things will be defined in the physical design phase. Okay, so for that you'll be using the internal schema representation, like ad hoc methods you will use to represent the internal schema. So now the application developer, he will use the internal schema, and then he will implement the application programs or the transactions. Now we'll see in detail like how these phases are carried out. From the mini world, as I said, you have to collect the requirements, right? So usually we'll conduct the interviews. In the interview, the end user or the customers will be there, and they will tell their own the ideas, like how they want their application to be, and what all the data they want to maintain, and how what all the functionalities they want to have in the application. So that thing they will discuss with the designer. Okay, now once the data require, okay, or the requirements are collected, then they'll segregate like database requirements and the functional requirements. So for the database design phases, we'll consider only the database requirements, data requirements. Okay, so these data requirements will be described, or it will be modeled using high level data models. So generally we use entity relationship model. Using that we will represent the requirements. Okay, like what all the different objects, and what all the features they have, and how they are related. So all these things will be represented using the entity relationship model. And then this ER model, or the high level model, will be mapped to the logical level. Okay, so we need to get the logical schema now. So here we will see which implementation model is suitable, and then what all the constraints we can add, how these different entities or the objects are related. So all those constraints related thing, and how we are going to implement, what all the data type we are going to assign. So these things will be decided, or it will be modeled in the logical design phase. Once the logical schema is ready, then we have to go for the implementation schema. That means for the physical design. Okay, sorry, implementation schema is ready. Now from the implementation schema, you have to generate the internal schema. So for that, we will decide about the different storage structures. Okay, like physical storage structures, access paths, storage, file organization, then indexing. So all these will be decided in the physical design, and it will be represented or described using the ad hoc methods. Okay, so these are the different phases in the database design. Then comes entity relationship model. As I said, it is a high level data model. Okay, so generally we use ER model for conceptual database modeling. So this model is used to define the data elements and the relationship for a specified system, and it develops a conceptual design for the database. As I said, like how the end user will perceive the data, so accordingly we are going to design the model. So that can be achieved using the entity relationship model. What are the basic concepts or the components of ER model? There are three main components or the major components. Those are entities, attributes, and the relationships. Entities means it is a specific thing or object in the mini world that are represented in the database. Okay, when I say entity, that indicates or that represents the specific things or objects in the mini world, that means in the real world, that are represented or that are stored in the database. Okay, then attributes means each entity will have certain features or the properties. Those properties will be called as attributes. And finally, the relationships. Now you have to say how these objects or the entities are associated. Okay, so that association will be represented or shown as relationships. Okay, so entities are specific things or objects in the mini world that are represented in the database or that are stored in the database, and attributes are properties used to describe the entities or the properties or the features the entity is having. That is nothing but the attribute. And relationships means an association among two or more entities. Now here we'll see the example. Entity, it can be a person, place, object, event, or concept about which we are storing the data in the database, or we are maintaining the data in the database. Okay, so examples are like car or the student. So these are the entities. Now attribute, see here, student is having different properties like student name, class, sem, section, all those things. So those are the attributes. And car, if I take car as an entity, then car has color or make, then registration number, vehicle number. So all these are the properties of a car. Okay, now how these two are related or associated? If I relate these two, for example, student owns a car, then owns is the relationship or it is the association. Okay, owns is the association, like how these two are related. So that can be represented using relationship. Okay, here as I said, so blue car belongs to student Jack. So belongs to or Jack owns a blue car. Okay, so that owns or belongs, that represents the relationship or the association. Now we'll see the characteristics of an entity. When I say entity means it represents a thing or some object in the real world, right? Now, these things or the objects can have their own existence, either physical existence or it can be a concept which is present in the world. Okay. Now, if the entity has physical existence in the real world, then it can be called as concrete entity. Okay, if the entity has physical existence, then it is called as concrete. If it is just a concept, then it is called as abstract. See here, the student, book or car, these are physically existing entities, right? We can see, we can touch, we can feel, right? So that means these are concrete entities. Now, if I say sales or the bank account or online courses, whether you can touch and feel that? No, it is just a concept. Virtually it is there, but you cannot see and touch it, right? Physically it is not present. So such entities are called abstract. Now these entities will be described using their attributes. Okay, so each entity will be described using the attributes. And for each entity, entities in the entity type, that means I have 10 students, then each student will have certain value assigned for the attributes. Okay, so entities are determined by particular value of its attributes. And what value attribute can have? It can have a set of permitted values, and these set of permitted values are called as domains. Okay, so domain means like it's a set of permitted value or allowed values for each attribute. If I say age is an attribute, so age can have any integer value. I can give any integer value. Alright, so that integer value, set of integer value will form a domain. It will be called as a domain of age attribute. Okay, so that means the possible values, the set of possible values for any attribute will be called as domain. It can be of any data type. For example, if I say name, so name can have character data type, right? So set of characters will form a domain for name attribute. Then comes entity type and entity set. An entity type, it defines a collection of entities that have the same attributes. Okay, so if I say employee, employee is one entity type. So all employees will have a set of common attributes. So in the example, employee has first name, last name, date of birth. So if I have 10 employees, all these 10 employees will have these three common attributes. It cannot, one employee cannot have extra attribute because I have defined these are the attributes of the properties. So all are having the same properties. Then it will be called as entity type. Now, what is meant by entity set? Entity set means it is a collection of entities of an entity type at a point of time. That means if I see how many employees are there in my database. So if I have 100 employees, then these 100 employees are nothing but instances of employee entity type. Okay, like you have a class and objects, right? Like student is one class, and if I have Namrata or Karthik or Udank, so these three students or these are the objects or the instances of student class. Okay, so similarly here, employee is the entity type. In general, I am specifying it as a collection of entities or it is like a class. Okay, so employee is an entity type, and if I have 4 employees, here you can see Ramesh, Abhishek, and Dheeraj and Ankit. So 4 employees are there. So these set of values for the employees like E1, E2, E4, E5 they have given. So these are the employee sets or the instances of an employee type, employee entities. Okay, so how many instances you have at a given time in the database, that is nothing but entity set. Are you getting? So the instances at any moment in the database which represents a particular entity type will be called as entity set. It's a collection of entities. So here E1, E2, E4, E5, this is the collection of entities of employee, 4 employees, right? So this will called as entity set. Now types of attributes. We have simple attribute, then composite, single valued, multi-valued, derived, and key attributes. We'll see one by one. Simple attributes are those attributes which cannot be divided further. That means here I have roll number, class, and age. Whether I can further divide that class attribute, class means only one value I can give, right? I cannot divide further. Age means it does not have any other component. Okay, so such attributes will be called as simple attributes which cannot be divided further. Then comes composite. Now we can see the difference here. Here address is the attribute which has street, city, country, and state. So these are the components of address attribute. Okay, so the attribute may be composed of several components. Those attribute will be called as composite attribute. Now here in the composite attribute, you can have further component of these components. Like for example, subcomponents you can have. For street, you have street name, street number, then apartment number, right? These are the subcomponents of street. Street is nothing but it is a component of address attribute. Okay, so like that it can have a hierarchy of components. Okay, it will form a hierarchy of components. So here address is divided into street, city, country, state. See, simple, what I said, simple attribute means it cannot be divided further. But here composite means it can be divided further, or it can have a components. Okay, and each component can be divided further into several subcomponents. Okay, then the next is single valued attribute. Single valued attributes means which can take only one value for a given entity from the entity set. See here, roll number, age, date of birth, gender. So these attributes can have only one value at a time. I cannot put age as 21 and 22. Whether it is possible, only one value I can put, right? Date of birth. Can I put two different dates for date of birth? No, only one date of birth I'll have. So like that, it can take only single value. Okay, at a time only one value is permitted. Then it is called as a single valued attribute. Then comes multi-valued attribute. Multi-valued means it can have a multiple values for that attribute. See, mobile number. Mobile number means if I have two mobile numbers, then that mobile number attribute can have multiple values. Okay, so an entity may have multiple values for that attribute, then it is called as a multi-valued attribute. Then comes derived attribute. Derived attributes are those attributes which can be derived from other attributes. See here, date of birth is an attribute, and using that date of birth, I can derive age attribute. I can find out how many years or how old you are, right? Using date of birth, I can find out your age. So that means age is the derived attribute. Okay, age is the derived attribute. Then comes key attribute, an attribute of an entity for which each entity must have a unique value is called as key attribute of that entity type. Here, if I take roll number, so using that roll number, I can identify the individual student. Is it not? So using roll number, I can identify the individual student. So roll number is the key attribute here. For example, if I take gender, I can have two female students and two male students. Then how I can identify using gender? It is not possible. It is not unique for each and every student. But USN, it is unique for individual. Correct? So using that attribute, I can identify the entities in the given database. Okay, so key attributes are those attributes which can identify an entity uniquely in an entity set. If I have thousands of employees, using employee ID, I can identify the individual among 1000 employees. Okay, so in that case, employee ID is the key attribute. Key attribute can have a single attribute, or it can be formed using multiple attributes. Now, if I say, okay, car is an entity and car has vehicle tag number or the registration number. Now, in this registration number, I will have a state code and the number, right? So, using this number and the state, I can have a unique value, right? I can get a key. So I need to combine state and number. If I just use state, then it is not possible. If I just use number, in two different states, I can have a same number for the vehicle, right? So that's why I need to combine this number and the state to form a key attribute. Then an entity type may have more than one key. So in any entity, there may be like possibility like you may have two different attributes which are having unique values for each entities in the entity set. For example, here vehicle identification number and vehicle tag number. So both are having unique values for each car, right? So that means I can have more than one attribute which can be having unique values for each entities in the entity set. Okay, that means I can have more than one key attribute in the entities. For example, you can take USN and the Aadhaar number. Okay, if I say, okay, you are giving the information about your PAN number and Aadhaar number. So both are unique. Either I can use Aadhaar number or PAN number. Both are unique. Correct? So that means I can have more than one key for an entity type. Now, value sets of attributes. Each simple attribute is associated with a value set. As I said, whenever you determine any entity, you are using the attribute values. Now, how you are going to assign the attribute values? So, you will take the permitted values, right? Set of permitted value for that attribute. So, these are the domains. Okay, already we have discussed about this. Like here it is given last name has a value which is a character string of up to 15 characters. So that means for last name I can give any character, but only 15 characters I can select. Okay, and date has a value consisting of month, day and year. Okay, where each letter is an integer. So for month means 2 digits I have to take. Day means again 2 digits. And year 4 digits. So like that I can take the values for the date attribute. Okay, so our value set specifies the set of values associated with an attribute. So for any attribute you have to see that there is a permitted values, set of permitted values. From that you take the data. And these value sets are similar to data types in most programming languages. As I said, it can be a set of integer, it can be a set of character, or the real number, or the bit 0 or 1. So like that it will be defined as a data type, the normal data type. Then mathematically an attribute A for an entity type E whose value set is V is defined as a function like E tends to P of V. So here A is attribute, E is entity type, and for each entity type we can have the values like V is the value set of values. From that you will take. Okay, now what is P of V? It indicates the power set. That means you have a set of values, right? So from that set of values you'll take the value and you'll assign that to a attribute A of entity type E. Okay, then value of attribute A for an entity E is represented as A of E. A of E indicates it is the value of attribute A. And in the above definition or the equation, it says for an entity E, for attribute A, you can take the different values from power set V. Okay, P of V. And the value of each attribute will be represented as A of E. Then displaying an entity type. So in ER diagrams, an entity type is displayed in a rectangular box. Okay, each entity will be represented using a rectangular box, and attributes are displayed in ovals. In the previous examples, I have shown the different types of attributes. There I have used ovals, right? So that is the normal convention used to represent the attribute. And each attribute is connected to its entity type. You need to connect those attributes to the entity type, and components of composite attribute are connected to the oval representing the main attribute or main composite attribute. And key attribute will be underlined, and multi-valued attributes will be displayed in double ovals. Okay, so these are certain conventions or the representations used to indicate the attributes and the entities in ER diagrams. Then here the notations are given. You can see the different notations are given. So when I explain the ER diagram, then I will tell each and every symbol like what actually it represents. So we'll stop this session here. We'll see the relationship concept, like in the ER diagram, what is meant by relationship. That we'll see in the next session. Okay. So till then, take care. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next lecture.